All right, hi guys. So this is more of a spur of the minute video. It's really not one that I really planned on doing. And I know I owe you guys a video from like 2 weeks ago, but y'all have got to excuse me. It's just been real hectic these past 2 weeks, and last week with me dealing with a bunch of upper respiratory and allergy stuff going on. Just haven't been able to chance to really upload it. I still have some editing to do to the video, but it will be up hopefully by the end of the weekend. But this video is just kind of one that's just kind of on the topic that's been on my mind for the past few days now. Uh, as I pay attention to a CNA group that I'm in, and this goes out to anybody. Really, it's not really just directed to CNAs, and I want everybody to know that my CNA channel, it's not really just for CNAs. It's really to be informative on just understanding what we go through. It's not necessarily to. It's not really to uphold our job above anybody else's. It's just basically spreading information, and hoping to help another CNA out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just to help people out. But anyway, it's a couple groups that I'm involved in on Facebook, and it involves CNA. It's directed for CNAs. Just for places to go vent and get advice and everything else. Okay, so one of the main things that I've ran across is, a lot of people say they go into work, and they get that whole feeling of they really don't want to do this anymore. They want to quit. Why are they there? And I'm gonna address this real quick. And I learned it from my sister. She graduated med school a couple months ago. Very big accomplishment, for her. But one thing in one of her posts that she said, and I guess is maybe one of her mentors or, something she learned along the lines, it's always remember your why. Um, and when I say remember your why, I'm referring to go back to the place where you remember why you do what you do, why you decided to become a CNA, why you decided to continue to be a CNA. What draws you about this job? Like, what's your favorite part of being a CNA? Um, and you have to really think about that. Now, me, I've done this work since 2009, on and off. Now, I'm not gonna lie. See, being a CNA, it'll burn you out. It will. It's a very intense job. Especially depending upon where you work. But like I said, it's a very intense job, and it'll burn you out if you're not careful. And it has a couple times. Like, I've switched from I've switched from CNA work to plant work, back to CNA work, back to plant work. But I always end up back at CNA work. And with me trying to understand my why, and it took me a while to understand it, or even this whole process of me discovering who I am as a person. Um, when I read that in my sister's post, it was just kind of like, well, what is my why? And my why I do this and why I continue to do it is because I love people. I'm a people person. I have a good heart. I'm a good person all around. And I've done some stuff in my past that might have some people like, nah, you really a good person. But that's back in my past. I've forgiven myself. The Lord has forgiven me. So, we just moving on. I'm just trying to be a better person now. But honestly, deep down, like, I have the biggest heart, and I would definitely do all that I can to help you. Um, and my heart is directed towards helping people in general. Like, I care about the young people. I care about all people, but my heart is designed to is directed more towards seniors. I don't know what it is about them. I love the wisdom that they give. I love the fact of knowing that I'm giving the satisfaction to somebody's family that their loved one is getting taken care of when it comes that time. When the family can't really step in and do what they need to do, they leave it in the hands of us. And it feels nice it feels good to me to have somebody depending upon me, to really take care of their loved one. Like, that's a big that's a big thing because you have a big responsibility. Like, you're responsible for their daily care, you know, um, and keeping them in good spirits, you know, because a lot of older people, you know, they get in that stage where it's just like, you know, I mean, they really can't, you know, they can't really care for themselves. You know, they're so used to being independent and doing things for themselves, you know, and then they get to that point where, you know, they pretty much, their independence is gone. You know, so we have to keep them in good spirits. And I love going into work. I love cutting up with my residents. Um, and I think the biggest part of my day is just probably my one-on-one with my people. Um, I could go in and I could spend hours and hours just talking with the resident. I'm just gonna be honest. The knowledge that they share, the stories that they tell, uh, it's hilarious actually. But that is my why. My why is because I love helping people, and my satisfaction comes from helping somebody and helping a family out. You know, so when you get on them days that you get discouraged, that you go into work and you're just like, here we go again, another day, you know, in this place. You know, remember at the end of the day, you're putting a smile on somebody's face. You're helping somebody out. And whether or not your resident is able to communicate or, you know, able to express, you know, how to make you feel, they appreciate it. They do. Even though you don't think they do and they can't physically express it, they appreciate it, and the family appreciates it. Now I know you get family members that are that are really overbearing, and you know sometimes can be real irritating, you know. But at the same time, you know that's something that comes along with the job. You know, if it's something that you love, if it's something that you love to do, then you learn how to power through it. And in some of my other videos, you know, I'm gonna kind of, you know, give some tips and pointers on how to do that. You know, how to deal with residents' families, you know, the ones who feel like they really can just come in and take over and take control. Like, you know, we do still have a job to do. Like, we can uphold your family wishes, but we have a job that's got to get done also. So, you know, I'm gonna be doing a couple of videos, you know, that just touch on those topics, but maybe later on down the line. But I really just wanted to put this video because, excuse me. And am I ready to move on up from being a CNA? Of course I am. My biggest obstacle right now is school. You know, me in school, we just ain't here. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't have the focus to do school, but I'm gonna do it. Hopefully within the next year. I just got a couple obstacles that I have to work out myself, but I'm gonna get there. You know, but either way, I'm gonna stay in the medical field. I'm gonna move forward. Because regardless, anything I change to, I always come back to helping people, older people to be exact. You know, and in hopes one day, you know, I'll have my own senior center. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of dreams, a lot of aspirations to do that, but you know, I have a lot of stuff that I got to work on. And one of the things that I have got to remember is remember my why. Why I do this on a daily basis. Why do I wake up at 6:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning to be to work at 7? You know, and to do this type of work. Yeah, you know, yeah, we wipe butts, we feed, we clean, we, you know, get up, we do all of that. You know, that's really the negativity speaking. But if you really enjoy your job and you stay in the mindset of your why, then that kind of helps you out. That kind of helps you out a little bit. You know, it helps you power through that day. And like I said, you know, if you have to, you know, maybe you can take a break from being a CNA for a while. You know, and the only way you'll know if CNA is really for you, if you quit and, you know, you always get drawn back to being a CNA, then you know that's where you're meant to be. Like, you don't have to stay being a CNA. And as I said, expressed this in a couple videos before, you don't have to stay being a CNA. You don't. You can move forward. A CNA is just an excellent way to get your foot in the door, you know, get your foot in the door and start moving on up the ladder, you know, and you'll be there before you know it. But like I said, you have to get in your mindset, that you're doing this for somebody else. Like, yeah, I know you got bills to pay, all of that good stuff, but just make sure that you remember your ultimate make sure that you remember your ultimate goal, and that you're not going to be a CNA forever, that you are going to move forward. But in the meantime, learn how to embrace what you're doing. Learn how to, overlook all the negativity. And, I had expressed, in a conversation that I was having at work earlier. Well, I wasn't really in the conversation, but I was listening. It's nice to have coworkers, to, cut up with and make it through the day, as I've expressed in some of my videos. But you're not really there to you're really not really at work to make friends. Like, now, you can spark some awesome friendships coming from coworkers. Like, don't get me wrong. But you're not there. Your goal is not to make friends. Your goal is to go in and make a difference in somebody else's life. It's to go in so you can get what you need to get, so you can take care of yourself, pretty much. So all the extra is not even called for. Like, I see a lot of people on these, in these groups talking about, the drama at work, like it's too much. The childishness is too much. Like, that's anywhere you go. That's any job you go into. It's not just nursing homes. That's any job you go to. It's always going to be some type of drama going on. It's just up to you to, bypass it. Don't get involved in it. Go in, remember your why, do what you got to do, and keep it moving. That's it. And I know a lot of people think that, leaving, might be an easy way. Quitting being a CNA, it might be an easy way out. But you got to understand, wherever you go, there's going to be something about any job that you go into that you're not going to like. It's going to be something. But if you remember your why, then you remember why you're there. And that's why you put your big girl panties on. And that's why you continue to do it. Because if it's something that you really love, then, you're going to by all means do what you need to do. And that's why I say, and a lot of people say that it takes a really special person to be a CNA, which it does. It really does, because it's really a work of the heart. It's definitely not, as I've said before, it's definitely not money. It's definitely a work of the heart. Definitely have to have a lot of patience. In dealing with yourself, having a lot of self-control, because some of these residents will push you to the end. They'll challenge your life. You try getting in a fight with a 80-something-year-old lady or man. They try your life. But you remember your why. You take it back. They don't, 9 times out of 10, now some of them know what they're doing, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to get one that's just, that dementia them hit them, their mind is just gone. And I don't say that to sound harsh or rude or mean, but I mean, that's what it is, And so, like I said, you have to step back, remember your why you're doing it. You're helping them out. It's a part of your job. It's a part of your livelihood. And embrace it. There's nothing wrong with being a CNA. I know a lot of people think that, being a CNA, because can't nobody, and one stereotype about the CNA world is, if you can't do any other job, you go to being a CNA. Or if you can't go to any other job, you go to a plant. That's not the case. It's a matter of what you really want to do, because there is so many ways. Even with a plant job, like, you can still climb up the ladder and still end up being in leadership positions in the plant. Even with being a CNA, you move on up the line, CNA, LPN, RN, on up. And so there's nothing wrong with being a CNA. And just to hear people say that, they're ready to quit, like, that's one. And we have to encourage our CNAs also, because one thing about it is, you got the new ones coming in, and they're already ready to throw in the towel. Like, they haven't really experienced, and I tell people, if you're gonna go into being a CNA, make sure that it's really something that you want to do. You learn that when you go through your clinical trials. That's when you really understand if this is something you're gonna want to do. Because once you get to working on the floor, or once you get in your job, that's pretty much it. So I said I did this video just to make sure that, you guys remember your why. Remember why you do this. Remember what joy you get out of being a CNA. Remember what type of a difference you make in somebody's life on a daily basis. You remember why their family members depend upon you, to do what they can't do. They put their trust in us. And it's up to us to remember our whys, so we can be more successful in our jobs. So we can deliver, so we can be, I'm not going to say perfect CNAs, because there is no perfect CNA, but so we can more elaborately do our job to our full potential. We're going to put it like that, And let me go ahead, while I got this video going, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in one. My other video is basically stating, I had the title on there, Beware Your Bodies. It takes a lot to be a CNA. It's a very physically demanding job. It's a lot of lifting. It's a lot of turning. It's a lot of back and forth movements on your feet. A lot of repetitive motions. It's a very intense job, and a lot of people, CNA wise, they start having trouble with their backs and, their shoulders. So I say that to say this: make sure, that you are being careful with what you do. If you have a resident make sure you follow along with what their specific transfer thing is. If they're a 2-person, make sure you have 2 people. If they're a lift, make sure you use a lift. Don't try to do anything on your own. I know some of us who have been doing this forever and a day, we might bend the rules a little bit sometimes. And, we might just go ahead and do it on our own. But the safest thing that you can do is always, always, always follow by your safety instructions of your facility. And make sure you look at your patients. Make sure you look at your residents' transfer status. So you're not in there doing a whole lot of extra work that you don't need to do. I think the name of the line is work smarter, not harder. And like I said, and a lot of people, put in all these overtime hours, and I get it, all places need, all, hospitals and nursing homes and rehab centers, they all need CNAs. I get it. They're short. They need the overtime. They need the extra bodies. But you got to understand, the money might be good. You might be looking forward to that check. But at the same time, you got to make sure your body's taken care of. You got to make sure you're taken care of. Yeah, it's a job. Excuse me. Yes, you need money. Yes, you have bills that need to be taken care of. But at the same time, you got to make sure that your body is okay. And I watch a lot of the young people, they pulling all these 12s, pulling all these 16s, doing all these days after days after days of overtime, which is all good, but you got to understand, while you're young, make sure you protect your body. Don't try to overwork it. Me, I've been doing this for so long. When I first started doing this, you talk about overtime, I didn't have a problem working 12s and 16s. Bust a couple of them out in a week. You know what I'm saying? But that's when I was younger. Your girl pushing 30. And, it's just not okay. And now I definitely can't do a whole lot of overtime like I should be doing, but I really can't do it on account of, I do have bad feet right now. And, a lot of it is because I am out of shape too, so I could definitely stand to, get a little bit more on the active side, and I probably could do a lot more, But I just want to make sure that you guys pay attention to your bodies. You know, if you notice something different about your body, if you start hurting, don't overstrenuize yourself. Like, make sure that you're taken care of. If you start having a hurting, don't work overtime. You know what your body's limit is. You know what you push yourself, but if you push yourself too hard, you really are gonna burn yourself out, and then you're gonna be in a worse situation than you bargained for. I know, and I'm coming up on my time for this video, but I know back when I was working at my first job, I didn't even realize the pressure that I put on my feet until I actually left that job and went to doing plant work. But when I actually went to the doctor, the foot doctor, he said that, well, first of all, I don't have an arch in my foot, but he said that this plantar fasciitis, and I have a heel spur also, but this plantar fasciitis that I suffer from in my feet, that's been there. It's been there for years. And that's just because CNA work. You're on your feet. You're out, not especially on first shift. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if you don't have a good supporting shoe, yeah, if you're doing a lot of overtime and all of that, it's not gonna work for you. So this is why I say make sure that you just are bewaring of your body. Make sure that you're taking care of your body first. If you come in and you're sick, I know this week I went in and I felt horrible. My throat was hurting and everything else, but I had a lot of allergies and upper respiratory and ear infection and all of that stuff going on with me, But you have to take yourself out. You have to take precautions to make sure that you're protecting yourself. And I do encourage my fellow, people who work in healthcare. As my cousin, she helped me out and she commented on my status, and